Our top story this hour, Johannesburg Mayor Councillor Herman Mashaba's comments targeting illegal immigrants have raised the storm. Migrant community leaders and civil society organizations are up in arms seeking an apology from the mayor. But so far, Mashaba has stuck to his guns. Sindisiwe Twala reports.
For us, a criminal is a criminal because of the number of people undocumented that makes it difficult for our law enforcement agency. Cannot tolerate a situation in our city where there's a breakdown of the rule of law.
As the newly elected mayor of Johannesburg hit a century in office, he hit out at illegal immigrants in his city. His remarks have struck a raw nerve.
I don't think that we should be playing around with this type of statement because we all know this costs lives to others.
I think Mashaba has shown who he is and what the DA is, which is basically an organization which works on the division of people according to race and ethnicity.
It is very wrong to start fighting or having and instigating statements towards whoever they say foreigner. There's no foreigner in Africa. We are citizens.
Migrant community leaders under the umbrella of Africa Diaspora Forum handed over a memorandum to the mayor's office. The forum said migrants were part of the people who built the city and not all of them are criminals.
Migrants can contribute positively to the economic growth of the city of Johannesburg as well as South Africa. They want to be part of the processes that benefit the city and South Africa as well.
On behalf of the executive mayor, who is away on council business, I've accepted the memorandum on his behalf, and as attested to in the memorandum, he will respond accordingly.
The migrants want to be part of the process that could grow the economy of the city of gold. All eyes are now on the mayor's response. Will the DA leader be more inclusive, or shall we hear more such divisive statements? Civil society as well as other dignitaries from all across Africa are angered by the inciting words stated by Herman Mashaba in terms of migrants within the area. They further say that the memorandum handed over to the MMC outlines each and every grievance and what they'd like moving forward. The MMC has said that they will respond to them by the 16th of January. For ANN7, I am Sindisiwe Twala, Johannesburg.
Joining us live in studio is Ameka Johnson, Africa Diaspora Forum's spokesperson, and we have Prince Abenge, Heart of Africa representative, on the phone. We're also joined by Comfort Ngidi, Vice Chairperson of the Premier Special Reference Group on Migration and Community Integration in KwaZulu-Natal. Thanks so much for your time, gentlemen. And you at home are welcome to give us a call, 011-542-2186, or you can tweet at ANN7TV. Just the march, or rather the handing over of the memoranda today, would you say that your efforts have been successful in your attempts to get Councillor Herman Mashaba to apologize for the immigration comments he made?
Yeah, we have done our bit. It's left for him. It's on his table to decide on what to do. We are aggrieved, definitely, but we have to show our annoyance, our disagreement in a cordial way, in a legal way, and that's the first step we have taken. How other steps we can take if we are not well listened to?
So we'll get to what your next move may be, but in principle, what are you in disagreement with what Herman Mashaba had said? Because some could argue that the criminal elements of illegal migrants needs to be eradicated in society. You know, we are a law-abiding country, and even visitors, people that come to the country need to observe those laws. So what is it in principle that you disagree with, Prince?
The utterance itself, it doesn't look fit from the mayor, Mashaba, because there are people who are legal, who have been forced into illegality today because the pace of delivery at the Department of Home Affairs is very slow, and sometimes there are technical problems. Someone has an expired permit. They go to Home Affairs, they tell them the system is down, and after 1 month they become illegal. they found themselves to be at a Lindela deportation center. So, you know, I think there is a difference in the way a business person can talk and a political leader. There has to be a difference. So the mayor was supposed to maybe to understand the whole thing of illegality before he comes out and give that utterance.
All right, Ameka, give us a sense of what the content of your memorandum to Councillor Mashaba.
So we gave him, we tried to address the issue he raised. He raised some silent issue of criminality, no doubt about it. But where we depart with him, our point of departure with him, is where he wants to criminalize immigrants, especially illegal immigrants. Like Abenge have said, some immigrants have been legal, and now they have gone illegal because maybe their permits or whatever permits they have has expired, or they have not even been able to get permits ab initio. But not having a permit does not make you a criminal already. You get the point? And the fact is that we fight criminals ourselves. The migrant society, the migrants community is the only community in South Africa that if they identify a criminal within them, they take that criminal and hand over to the police. We have records where we have done that. We don't condone criminals. But for the fact that your paper has expired has not made you a criminal. You know, that's the point, our point of departure with him. But like he has a blanket, coating of whole migrants who are not well documented as criminals.
But I mean, the comments were made on his 100 days in office, which is a couple of weeks ago. Why are you only responding to it now, Abenge?
Yeah, we were supposed normally to hand in the memorandum on the 9th of May. So it happened that there are many South African organizations that wanted to join us for this event. And we were not ready with Metro Police for authorization. That's why we postponed to the 19th today.
All right, let's take a caller. Derek and Emma Lahleni, good evening to you and thanks for joining us. What's your comment or question?
Yeah, you know, it's actually not surprising that now we get to hear that Mashaba is accusing immigrants, you know, because I remember when I was still staying in Cape Town, it used to happen because they say I look like a foreigner, you know, and you will have to carry your ID, and you would ask, why would I carry my ID at this day and age? And it's not surprising. And, you know, people must just realize that, you know, the actual actions and the ways in which the DA and its leadership are always have to be put on apologies. You say you must apologize every time. No, it's not right. They must just know that they just use black people and that's it. Thank you.
Derek, all right, thanks so much. In terms of how South Africans have reacted to this, of course, it's still very much on racial lines, if you will, because when we talk about illegal immigrants, typically we're referring to Africans that are in South Africa, which is part of the continent. And I mean, this remark doesn't extend to any other nationalities. So do you think that it is deliberately based on a divisive approach based on ethnicity and primarily Afro-pessimism?
We might not say that as African Diaspora Forum, but unfortunately, you are right. 90%, if not 99%, of illegal immigrants being addressed by the government at any level is targeted against the African migrants. That's an unfortunate thing. When you go to Lindela, you hardly see somebody from Eastern Bloc who is not well documented in there. Somebody from Europe who is not well documented in there. Does it mean everybody from Europe is well documented in South Africa? Or is everybody from any part of Europe or any other part of the world is well documented? It's only the Africans.
All right, we did extend an invitation to the mayor's office. We hope that they will respond as well. Jacob in Germiston, good evening to you.
How are you, man?
I'm good, thank you for asking, and you?
Fine, man. Look, man, Mr. Mashaba is talking about illegal immigrants in our country. It means he's talking about the people who they don't have document to come into the country. So it means those people, they go to Herman Mashaba's office, they're supporting people to be on our country illegally. It's what they say.
All right, we'll get them to respond. Is that what you're advocating, that if people are not documented, they need to stay in South Africa?
I think I have made a statement here that we don't support any act of illegality. And if any migrant is caught illegally, doing anything illegally, you should answer to the law. But there is a difference between getting an illegal immigrant. When you catch an illegal immigrant, you don't just bring him to the television or to the press. You take him to court or the police, as the case may be. But he's just dancing to the tune of the press and trying to make it look as if every migrant in the CBD, is, because he mentioned actually, is an illegal immigrant. We're not supporting any act of illegality. All migrants are, when you go to Mara Bastard, you see the effort these migrants are putting to legalize their stay here. You will pity them. Take an excursion into Mara Bastard one of these days, any of these days, and you see that that's a crazy house.
All right, part of your memorandum as well, are there demands to expedite that process, as you're saying that there is a bottleneck within the government structures or Home Affairs in particular, and that there's an opportunity between the Mayor's office and Home Affairs to try and ease that backlog for legitimate refugee and asylum seekers in the country?
Yeah, we have engaged the government, if you may know, at different levels, to the presidential level, where the president has even instituted a committee on migration headed by Jeff Rabebe. We have come in with solutions, Peneki, how this chaotic situation can be ameliorated. So if Mashaba is ready to listen, there's documentation, even in Home Affairs, at the presidency, on how we can work together. He can work with documented migrants. Our organization represents migrants, African migrants, both legal and illegal in South Africa. But you see, where you have the backlog is people looking for asylum and refugees. There's a difference between refugee seekers and asylum seekers. And that is where you have the quagmire.
All right, let's invite Comfort Ngidi, Vice Chairperson of Premier Special Reference Group on Migration and Community Immigration in KwaZulu-Natal. If you'll tell us or talk us through some of the successes and learnings that the Gauteng department, or rather municipality, can also adopt.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and good evening to our listeners. And in KZN, we had dealt with this matter. I think it was the committee reported in 2015, but the issues that are being raised, they are sometimes issues that need some serious attention because they concern the community. In our investigation this side, we ascertained that firstly, it is inaccurate to suggest that every person who comes to South Africa commits crime. We ascertain that there are a lot of people who come to South Africa from different countries who add a lot of value in terms of the South African tax base and in terms of advancing the country. But of course, we also have certain individuals who sometimes come and they don't have the documentation, and you have all sorts of challenges in as far as the identification of these individuals in the event that they commit certain crimes. But it's a matter that needs to be dealt with largely by Home Affairs, but there's also a need of engagement by various communities.
Let's take Patrick in the Free State. Please hold the line, Mr. Ngidi. Hi, Patrick. Good evening to you.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Yes, sir. What's your question?
Yeah. Very quickly, I think your guest with their organization, the most important thing that they can do in order also to cast suspicion away from them and create awareness in terms of the good things that they are doing for the country. As much as the community is obligated to root out the criminals among themselves, to report them to the police, let them do the same with those criminals within themselves. Because we remember many stories that came out. The journalist the other day who was doing some research, he was hijacked, he was kidnapped and car taken, and all that came out. It was some allegation was that there were some foreigners who were involved. Girls were released recently somewhere else. Those individuals were among them. So those instances, if they know about them, let them take initiative in order to cast suspicion away from them.
All right, point taken. Thanks so much, Jacob in Germiston. Just your response to that. Are you active enough in ensuring that at least the blame is not cast on you? You do your bit to be integrated into society and rid South Africa of criminality, especially if it's from illegal foreign nationals or even legal?
Well, I think from the onset I can say the utterance from the mayor is unfounded. Because I can give you my ID or my passport. You take it to the police for a police clearance. You will find that there is no crime on my side. And I'm a foreign national living in South Africa. So the integration is talking about, the contribution to the country is talking about. It depends on policies. So, you have people who have a asylum seeker permit, you have people who have refugee status permit. They can go somewhere, they have skills, they go somewhere to contribute in terms of skills in schools or in the private sector. They say, no, we don't employ people with refugee status, or we don't employ people with asylum seeker permit. So how can they contribute to the economy? And South Africa is one of those African countries that has a functioning law enforcement institutions. If amongst us there are people who are committing crime, they have to be brought to books. And South Africa has the capacity to do that.
Let me chip in here too. To the best of my knowledge, most migrant communities, for example, I can speak for the Nigerian community and the other African communities, have in-house cleansing exercises. If you read the activities of the Nigerian community in recent time, it's just 2 days back that the campaign stopped. The campaign against drug and prostitution is all over. We launched it in Free State, we launched it in Hebrew, we launched it in Pretoria. We go to the enclaves where our citizens are and try to educate them and tell them to come out from crime. We do a lot of enlightenment exercise.
All right, maybe it's because it's below the radar. Sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Johnson. We're running out of time. Freddie in Pretoria, hello to you very briefly. Good evening.
Hi, Cindy. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
I'm well, man. Okay, Mr. Mashaba, to me, I believe he is right. There are so many foreigners who come into South Africa. Yes, we understand because of asylum problems and due to their problems, we accept. But coming to South Africa, there are so many foreigners who are doing illegal stuff. I mean, taking for instance now, today we are experiencing the people are selling now the drugs and all those. And when you check, it's foreigners, to understand. So it is not like we should now protect and stop doing whatever. Let's be transparent enough to understand.
Yeah,
and by saying the illegal people coming to South Africa without documents, they are criminals. That does not mean, we're not generalizing the people who came to South Africa legally or for business purpose. You're not generalizing those people.
All right.
But let's
Freddie,
face it,
point taken. We quickly have to take Craig Smith, specialist in immigration law. In terms of the obligations of South Africa in managing the borders and migration of people and you know, obviously deporting those that don't belong here legally. But the plight of the African nationals from the African diaspora and heart of Africa is the fact that they are criminalized because our systems are not efficient enough. You know, permits expires and by default you then become an illegal immigrant while you have the necessary documentation. Craig, do you think that the South African government in this sense has failed those legitimate nationals that are in the country?
Well, undoubtedly they have failed, and over the last 15 years our Department of Home Affairs has year on year fragmented and fractured in terms of its operational management. I mean, to give you an example, you could have perfectly qualified immigrants coming from Africa, remembering Africa took on a totally new role in 1994, and it was part of the global stage. And there's a lot of value gained in many of these immigrants seeking to come to South Africa who have fled their countries. I mean, top cause that many of these countries have failed and people are being persecuted. Incredibly, Home Affairs has placed there's been a stigma attached to people. They have been almost into a own space, into attachment, where Home Affairs, whilst they're in that vulnerable position, has not helped their cause by trying to obtain status. Home Affairs has closed down various refugee centres. Home Affairs has opposed asylum seekers changing status to an immigration status. So, regrettably, they have made it more difficult. And especially when Home Affairs should be reaching out to civil society.
All right.